Hello and welcome back to another Sky Sports Fantasy Football Game Week preview. This week we're on to Game Week 38, which means there's now less than a month to go until the last game of the season. And things are definitely starting to change in terms of the average remaining transfers. You can see on the screen right now there is a big drop with around 3 transfers in terms of like the average kind of remaining with the entire game. So big changes, obviously we were expecting this. A lot of people made 4 or 5 transfers last week, and a lot of people are planning to do the same this week. I think this is really where the transfers are going to start getting used. This week, obviously, there is still a couple of midweek game fixtures with Tuesday games, Wednesday games, Thursday games. If you are looking for for stuff on those kind of games, make sure to check out last week's game week preview. This week we're going to look at the weekend's games, so make sure you watch through this first, and then at the end of the video it will be linked and you can go and watch the games for the next couple of days. So again, this is going to be for the weekend's games. We're going to look at captains and fixture gains and stuff for the midweek games. Make sure to go and look at last week's video. So again, back on the average remaining transfers, big changes. The top 1,000 is now down under 7, so you can see for myself 10 transfers remaining at about 2,500 ranks. So we are still hoping that those extra transfers are going to be able to push me into the top 1,000 again. If you're sitting in the top 1,000 with over 7 transfers, definitely in a very decent position. If you're a bit less than that, again, now is kind of the time that a lot of people are going to be using transfers, so you might see yourself drop a little bit, but I think if you can kind of keep the main guys, the best captains and stuff, you should be okay in terms of trying to keep that rank up as much as possible. The popular transfers this week show Ollie Watkins as the highest player transferred in by quite a margin, as well with Isak number 2, Palmer number 3, Saka number 4 and Salah number 5. So not really too much changing in terms of the popular transfers from last week. Obviously I think the preview came out on Thursday, so it's really the last 5 days that has really changed from last week's preview. Isak and Watkins, the top 2, obviously 2 players who are in very good form right now. A lot of players 2 players that probably aren't owned as much as they should be. Obviously with both of them, there's not really like a abundance of captaincies from now until the end of the season for them both, so they aren't needed essentially in a lot of teams. Someone like Isak is someone I totally overlooked last week, and someone mentioned it. I think I was too focused on like the amount of fixtures teams has. Like for example, Newcastle don't really have a lot of fixture gains over other teams, so I didn't really mention them as much as possible, but I will look into it more when we look at the captaincies and the fixture gains and stuff, because Isak definitely looks like a pretty decent option, and again, one of the most transferred players in this week. Transfers out, Haaland is the most transferred out player. Obviously no game for City this weekend because they were playing in the FA Cup, so obviously that would be a lot more casual players. Obviously a lot of us would have brought Haaland out a week or 2 ago when the fixtures were starting to die down. There's obviously still going to be people that are taking him out at that point. Son the same, again no fixtures this week. Conor Bradley, I'm surprised he's in there. I didn't think he was that highly owned that he would be number 3 in terms of transfers out, but still quite high up there. Only 6.8 million, must have been owned by a fair few. Obviously picked up an injury which is going to keep him out for the rest of the season. Ivan Toney, just not really performing at all. I don't even think he was in the Brentford squad last week. I could be totally wrong with that, but from what I last checked, I don't think he was even playing. And then Christian Romero as well, again another Spurs player who doesn't really have any games. So our captains for this week, we do have a game day on Saturday, Sunday and then the Thursday next week as well. So we're going to have a look at our captaincies. I think last week I mentioned that Bruno Fernandes was the best captaincy here. Having another look at things with the way West Ham have just conceded 5 goals to Crystal Palace, obviously the form of Isak as well playing against Sheffield United definitely puts these 2 guys ahead of Bruno. You can see with the expected goals conceded, Sheffield are 2nd and West Ham are now 3rd after that Crystal Palace game, which puts Burnley into 4th place for the expected goals conceded, which again further puts these two kind of ahead of him in terms of captaincies. So Isak, one that probably isn't as much owned. I think if you've got him, I definitely think he looks like the better captain. You can see with the goal scoring percentages, 60% for Isak in terms of scoring at the weekend, Salah at 52. And you can see with the points that Isak's got as well, 7, 16, 10, 4 and 14. He has done very, very well recently. The one thing about Isak that I don't know if it could really impact him is the fact that Callum Wilson is back in training this week. So they've obviously playing Crystal Palace tomorrow on Wednesday night, and I think Wilson should be in the squad for that, so it kind of gives us a gauge if you are planning to bring him in for the weekend. Obviously there'll be no extra fixture because he plays on the Saturday, but if you want to bring him in for the weekend, at least we can see for Wednesday's game against Palace how the minutes are going to be managed with Isak and Wilson. Because obviously if Wilson's going to be getting a lot more minutes, it really negatively impacts Isak as a fantasy option. Again, you can see with the chances conceded as well. West Ham conceding a lot down the right hand side, obviously, which is where Salah plays. I think with Salah though, the form just isn't really there for Liverpool. Obviously he got benched at the weekend as well, and Liverpool looked so much better without him. I think it was 3 goals they ended up scoring as well. I don't think that's going to keep him out of the team. He is Liverpool's most important player, but it is just something to mention that, or something to keep in mind, that he can be benched, and it's very possible that he could come off as a sub more often with Jota back. And then again, Sheffield United conceding a lot of chances as well. Obviously, one of the worst defences in the league. I think Newcastle beat them, what was it, 9-0, 8-1, something like that, earlier in the season. So again, Isak could be a very, very good captain. Sunday is a lot more straightforward. We've got Haaland or we've got Son. Haaland playing against Nottingham Forest and Son playing against Arsenal. Again, with this game being on a Sunday, it's kind of the time to bring in a lot of the Spurs players back again. They are starting to get their fixtures back. It's still very difficult fixtures. They've got Arsenal, they've got Chelsea. Is it Chelsea? I think they've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City left of the season, but they do still have a lot more fixtures than a lot of other teams over the short term, starting from this day. But in terms of the captaincies, it's a much easier option. Obviously, Haaland there with a 60% chance of scoring against Nottingham Forest definitely would be the pick there. Don't really have to look at anything else. Obviously, Arsenal, the best defence in the league. Suppose you could possibly maybe look at Solanke against Brighton, but in my opinion, there's no going against Haaland here. And then Thursday we have another London derby. It's Chelsea versus Spurs, and again, as this is still a week and a half away, we don't have the goal scoring odds for this one. I think Palmer's probably the pick here. Again, I think most people would agree. As the home fixture against Spurs, obviously Palmer, you can see by the points that he's got recently, 29, 5, 23, 17, 13. Even though Son is fantastic, I just wouldn't be going against Palmer here. And it just makes a lot more sense. I think maybe if you wanted to avoid Son, obviously I think he's probably a player that a lot of people don't really have right now. Again, was one of the highest players transferred out. If you're bringing him on Sunday, great. It's good to have obviously 2 players for this fixture. Palmer being the home fixture and in much better form as well though. I think easily takes the armband there. So obviously with last week's game week preview, we did go over the new fixture gains, which again, make sure you go and check that out at the end of this video. So this week, because I've kind of already covered things, I did want to kind of go over my transfers again, because I didn't really get the time to do that last week. So just kind of to go over why each of these transfers that I'm making, and basically why I'm making them. So I've got my Arsenal guys coming out. That is, what day is it? It's the 23rd today, so this is tomorrow. I've got Saka coming out for Bruno, so I can go over here. Obviously got this game against Chelsea tonight. He comes out for Bruno, get that 2 for 0. Again, Bruno Fernandes, you can see by his recent points, he has been very, very good recently. And again, 2 of the best fixtures you can get this season right beside each other with Sheffield and Burnley. So 2 for 0. Saka hasn't really been great recently. Seems to be playing with an injury. So for me, I'm taking him out. And you can see by the planned transfers, I don't actually plan on getting him back. I don't think they're fantastic fixtures for him. Obviously this Bournemouth game could be quite good and the Everton game could be quite good, but for me, I think there's just better options elsewhere. If I had an extra transfer, maybe I'd bring him in for like the end of the season. But even like between these points, there's teams with like 4 fixtures over Arsenal's 3, so I don't think I'm going to bring him back in. That's the plan for now, of course. That is why we're doing it. And we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. Thursday is where I'm making 4 transfers, and it's going to be the max transfers used for this week. So Gabriel's coming out, McAllister's coming out, Nunes and Van Dijk. So 3 Liverpool players. I've got 5 right now, and that is also Diaz and Salah. They're coming back out because the fixture gain is done over Man City. So the City guys are coming back. Van Dijk, obviously, it was similar with Brighton. Brighton also didn't have any fixtures, so we're bringing the enabler and Van Dijk back. Now, I don't really know if this is going to be Dunk. This could also be Branthwaite, and that would cover the single with Everton and Luton. Again, kind of mentioned this last week. I don't really know if I wanna do the double Brighton defence, because obviously they haven't been fantastic defensively, and it's kind of difficult fixtures to the end of the season. So I could easily go with Branthwaite here. Again, pretty decent fixtures with these 3, and then I'd just keep him. Again, he's quite cheap. The only thing is he doesn't really pick up the bonus that Dunk does. So even though he does have the single game day and could keep more clean sheets, Dunk getting the consistent passing could end up getting more points. So Gabriel, obviously we're just speaking about the Arsenal one there. He's coming out for the enablers again to get those guys back in. And then McAllister, Nunes, Van Dijk for the City players. There you go. So that is going to be that 3 for 1 in there. Again, no need to have 5 Liverpool players. And obviously City have a fantastic run in going into the end of the season, so I might as well make use of the 3 for 1 in the short term, and then even if it was later, it's a 3 for 2 in there as well. So a lot more fixtures for City over Liverpool. Again, you can see from Saturday they've got 5 compared to Liverpool's 3, and they both have a single game day in there as well. So that is why we're doing that. 27th, I've got Solanke to Isak. Again, I'll wait until tomorrow and see what happens with his minutes. But I do really like Isak as a captaincy here for this Sheffield game here. So I'll wait here because Bournemouth obviously play on the same day, and then Saturday I'll bring Isak in, get the Sheffield game, the Burnley game, Brighton. Again, all games that he could score, and it's still pretty decent fixtures in there for Newcastle. So again, just a rough idea. I think it could do quite well there. Then on Sunday, bringing more City players in and Foden, and then we're bringing Son back as well. That is going to be, obviously, after this. Bringing Bruno in tomorrow and taking him back out on Sunday sounds like a terrible idea. But again, it's 2 very good fixtures for Bruno where he could do quite well. And then it's a 3 for 0 with Son. Even though it's very difficult fixtures, you can't really ignore 3 free fixtures over someone else. And then what was the other transfer? It was Diaz for Foden. So that's going to be from here, in which again it's another 3 for 1. Liverpool having Spurs, and then Foden having Forest, Wolves and Fulham. I don't really know what's going on with Foden and Haaland right now. I heard they never trained today. I don't know if it's still illness or whatever. I don't think it's going to keep him out for too long. Obviously they've still got 5 days until this transfer is supposed to happen. So we'll see what happens with that. And then Haaland's obviously 2 days away, so we'll see. Hopefully things are alright from then. And then the 6th of May, Salah to Bruno and Bruno back to Salah the week after. That would be my final 2 transfers. If again I can go in here, I do want to get a captaincy covered because I can. I've got the transfers available. I don't want to be missing out on captaincies. So you can see here Liverpool have no fixtures, and it would either be someone like Eze. Obviously I've got Bruno now. I could go for Eze if I wanted to, The reason I've went for Bruno is because obviously I'm not going to have Saka in here for this captaincy with Arsenal and Man United. Bruno having the home fixture against Arsenal could actually prove quite well. So Salah's going to move after this Spurs game, get the 2 single game days out of Bruno Fernandes, and then we'll move him back to Salah for the single against Villa, and then keep him for the Wolves game. So that's where I'm at, and that is the transfer plans with the final remaining transfers. Again, I said last week it could easily change, and then I've got 2 or 3 new transfers in there that have changed since last week. So that is the current draft of transfers right now. Again, Fixture Gains, you can go and have a look from last week's video if you want to have a look, or you can have a look yourself and just screenshot this or pause the video and have a look at some transfer gains yourself. So I'm going to go look at my team now and see how that's getting on. So this is how we're looking this week. Obviously no transfers made from me over the weekend, even though there was a lot of ideas that the Liverpool, or a lot of leaks that the Liverpool lineup was going to be heavily changed, which was just a bit unfortunate. Obviously makes the fixture gain over the likes of the Man City players a lot worse. Obviously only picking up substitute appearances, but it is what it is. I didn't want to make any other moves. Obviously Liverpool still have a fixture this week against Everton, and then I believe they play again on Saturday, which is against West Ham, which again West Ham don't really look great defensively at all right now, obviously with a worse defence than Burnley on paper. So I wanted to keep them for now, hoping that they would have got a return off the bench. It didn't happen. But it is what it is. So still a very red team, still a lot of Arsenal guys and Liverpool guys in there. Again, looking to move them on back to the City and Brighton players this week. And obviously Bruno Fernandes, who I was looking to bring in short term as well. So that's where we're at. A small rank increase. I was really expecting to go up a lot more with the triple Arsenal defence, but I think I generally climbed like 5 or 50 places after that clean sheet. So obviously everyone is in the same boat, everyone has the same idea, just going the full Arsenal defence right now, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, if I didn't do it, then I would have dropped lots of ranks. So I think I've climbed about 100 places from last week. Not ideal considering there was only 4 weeks left to climb about 2,000 places, but we'll see how things go. Captains, I've got Saka, obviously with Palmer looking like he might be out. I think he's I think he's ill or something like that, and he might not play tonight. Obviously we'll see the lineups, so if the lineups do come out and Palmer is starting, then I will stick the captaincy on him. For now it is going to be Saka, just in case. I think I could always switch that to Saliba. I'll see what happens. Right now I'm on Saka, and that's the idea. Wednesday is going to be Salah, I believe. Yeah, I think we're on Salah, or possibly Bruno. I don't know. I can't remember if that's the plan or not. And then Thursday is the Man City and Brighton game, so obviously we're bringing the City guys in, and it's going to be Haaland who takes the captaincy armband there, so not too bad. Second team, again, I mentioned it last week, I totally forgot to make the transfers in terms of the fixture gains, so I've still got Haaland in here, I've still got Van Heck in here. I brought in Jota after hearing the leaks, and captained him, scored, which was nice, 10-pointer in there, not enough to do too much to the rank, but it is what it is. At least I don't have to make the transfers to bring back the likes of Van Heck and Haaland in this team. So the substitutions, or the droppings with the Liverpool players, actually benefited this team quite a lot. But again, not really too bothered about that. So that's how things are looking. Obviously, we've got a game tonight with Arsenal and Chelsea. Hopefully Cole Palmer plays, because I would like to captain him, because I think Saka will be a heavily captained player tonight. So I'd like to hopefully go differential with Cole Palmer, and hopefully he does quite well. Let me know down in the comments who you'll be captaining, if you are making any sort of transfers. Are you bringing in Isak this week, or are you going to hold off with the Callum Wilson news? And yeah, just let me know. So leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe as well if you're new, and once again thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.